Sir, can you start, please, sir?
Good afternoon. I am Asan from Bangladesh. Welcome to the platform where we are going to share you how the school Kandapara Poschim BRAC Primary School is replicating BRAC's world-famous non-formal education model, which is started 30 years back and is still enrolling strongly as it gets adapted through constant changes, considering the context and the need of our society. The story will circle upon one teacher running one school to teaching all the subject to grade 3 learners. We'll get to know how one teacher is managing all that, how is she using the science of teaching learning to accommodate such a hectic responsibility so efficiently. What is she's doing right, and how the school really meets the expectation of learners. All this question will be answered in the next 50 minutes. Don't get worried about flight booking and all, because it's all virtual. Before jumping into the story, let me introduce our today's panelists, Dr. Eram Mariam, Executive Director, BRAC ID, and Dr. Shah Shamim Ahmed, Associate Professor, University of Dhaka. Before starting the talk, let's take a tour to the school with a short video.
Kolmakanda, an upazila of northern Bangladesh in Netrokona district, is considered to be one of the most marginalized area of Bangladesh, cursed with extreme poverty, low literacy rate, and bad communication facilities. It is a disaster-prone area bounded by the Meghalaya state of India on the north and several water bodies in Netrokona district. Most of the time, it is submerged in water. During the time, transportation remains a great concern, particularly for the children. Electricity is very rare. Students are completely disconnected from the mainland. Children grow up here fighting and adapting with the natural calamities with the hope of a better life. Parents do not understand the need for education, and who understands cannot help them at home. This whole scenario screamed out loud for the necessity of a low-cost educational institution which seemed quite a delusional dream. Kandapara Poschim West BRAC Primary School was established in the village of Kolmakanda. The school was established following BRAC long-tested cohort model, the one teacher, one classroom signature model of BRAC education program is being implemented for more than 30 years, with necessary changes considering the context. It is replicated in several countries. One teacher starts teaching a group of 30 learners from grade 1 and teaches the same group of learners until grade 5 within 4 years using the national curriculum and textbooks. The model follows a combination of low-cost materials. Shuchonda Khagra, a 37-year-old local woman and a secondary school certificate SSC passed, has joined as a teacher in 2013 in this school through a rigorous recruitment process. She applied for teacher position, seeing the advertisement, sat for an oral and written interview, as well as 7 days attachment to a BRAC school. After joining as a teacher, she receives 2-week-long basic training and an orientation to know how to conduct a non-formal school with 30 learners all alone. Every month, she receives refreshers. She also receives subject-based training for teaching in different grades. Now, let us look inside the room. The priority learners are disadvantaged, marginal children who do not have a comfortable and joyful vibe in their home. Along with BRAC and local community support, the teacher decorates the schoolroom to stimulate sustainable learning. One of the most effective methods she follows is the Children Learning Group, known as CLG. Each CLG is formed with 4 to 5 learners in a combination of mixed ability learners, slow, average, and fast learners, so that they can help each other learn with the facilitation of the teacher. They work inside and outside the classroom as a group. It increases interaction and opportunity for discovery learning. The best thing is that it is not teacher centered, rather, learner focused classroom. As part of innovation, the teacher helps the students for self assessment. Very technically, she engages them in a group and assists them indisputably. Learners identify their own mistakes, correct those through peers, learning by doing, and learning from mistakes principles predominate in the classroom. This sense of responsibility and accountability ignites important 21st century learning skills such as critical thinking, creativity, problem solving, collaboration, and communication. It takes amazing dedication and a very systematic approach of a teacher to build a school like Kandapara Poschim BRAC Primary School, a school where learners aspire to come, love to learn, and get ready for further education for real life.
Thank you. It's an amazing story from a school. So, as you are saying that the story circles around the teacher managing all those activities. So, can I start with Dr. Mariam? That how do you recruit the teacher and what process you follow to build their capacity, Dr. Mariam?
Uh, Thank you so much, Dr. Habib. Here, actually, I just want to say that I want to acknowledge the contribution of Sir Abid and Kaniz Fatima, because, it was Sir Abid's vision, and it was our first director, Kaniz Fatima, who developed the model in 1985 along with Abid Bhai. And at that time, actually, it was very interesting. Ever since, it was developed in 85, but, ever since 85, I think, they saw that they put so much emphasis on the woman of the community who is so accepted to everybody. So the process starts with the survey, and ever since the survey is done, that is the time when, our colleagues, they collect names of people, of women in the community who are very, very acceptable. And based on that, then we do the interviews, and in the interviews what we see is the personalities and whether they have a love for children and a love for engaging with children. So I think that that's really important, the personality and their love for children, and their love for engaging in children. And of course we also definitely look at the competencies, like the language, the articulation, the communication, there's obviously maths. But then it's also very important. It's equally important for us to look at the personality, and then teachers engage after that recruitment. Teachers engage in a 12-day training, and these are usually residential. But then after the 12 days training, we also have every month a refresher at the community level, at the local office. So, I mean, I think that one of the big pillars of the non-formal model is definitely the teacher and the teacher professional development.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Mariam. It's really nice to hear that BRAC not only look at the competency of the teachers, but also you're looking at how the personality and the nature and how his attitude towards the students and learning. Thank you very much. So can we go a little bit of talking from the Kandapara Primary School? She's Shuchana Ghagra. A little talk with him.
রিফ্রেশারের মাধ্যমে আমাদের বুঝিয়ে দেয় যে প্রাসঙ্গিক আলোচনা করতে হবে, ছবি নিয়ে বিশ্লেষণ, তারপর কোচিং পাতের মধ্যে যদি কোনো কঠিন শব্দ থাকে আমরা সেটা বোর্ডে লিখি, বোর্ডে লেখার পরে আমরা সেটা শিক্ষার্থীদের অর্থসহ বুঝিয়ে দেয়। পরে আমরা সেই গল্পটা আমরা রিডিং করি।
Wow. Thank you. We understand that is one of the proud teacher of BRAC schools. Now I like to go to Shamim Mohammed. That we know that the school environment is very much related to learning, and whereas school, one classroom school with 30 students, how do you relate BRAC schools with their learning environment?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Habi, for giving me this opportunity to talk about the Kandapara Poschim BRAC primary schools. We know it's a non-formal school and is located in the children's community. And you also mentioned earlier, it's a one teacher, one classroom with 30 learners and a 40 minutes classroom. The most disadvantaged and marginalized children are the priority of this school. These children do not have very comfortable and joyful atmosphere at their home and at the society due to the lack of awareness and poverty. That is why it is important to provide a joyful and comfortable and also safe space to these learners for enhancing their learning and even the basic learning. BRAC firmly believe that child safety is a very fundamental issue to ensure child-friendly environment everywhere. Kandapara Poschim BRAC Primary School captured that idea and established that environment. If you visit the school, a group of happy faces will welcome you warmly, and you can see numerous works of the children are displayed on colorful papers and posters along with other learning materials at every corner of the school. And the children, you can see, they are always in a happy mood. This develops learners' ownership to their schools. In addition, regular co-curricular and extracurricular activities in which children can apply their own interests and styles make the environment joyful to them. It is important to share that the children having disabilities are equally participating in every activities in this school. The child-centered pedagogy with friendly behavior of teacher and maintaining collaborative and cooperative learning approach in group makes the learner comfortable in learning. The children of these Kandapara primary schools also have several scopes of experiential learning through different types of activities and project-based learning activities. Through all the activities, teacher restructured the mindset of the children to think the school as their learning place. One of the important aspects of the BRAC curriculum is the competency-based assessment through formative assessment. The Kandapara Primary School followed the competency-based assessment through formative assessment followed by action-oriented feedback and remedial measures. And that are integrated in the regular teaching learning activities in these schools. Teacher assesses her students throughout the class periods and provides task-oriented feedback to them. In this process, teacher regularly involve the peers and the children themselves in self-assessment. As a result, students are not worried about their assessment, but they are very comfortable with their teacher and peers during the assessment process with an intention to fulfill their learning gaps. This actually the environment, the learning space is there. In this way, Kandapara primary schools made this environment safe and comfortable and also joyful for the children, and that can stimulate learning and make it more sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you, Shamim Ahmed. We have seen the video that the environment, which is the backdrop of a very marginalized social context, and school provided there a lot of with instrument, so it's definitely providing a very comfortable learning space. So now I'd like to go back to Dr. Moriam about that. We heard a lot about learning cycle, and which we also seen in the video that students are learning in group. So can I ask Dr. Moriam to enlighten about the learning cycle that you are doing in the BRAC primary school?
Right. Yes, I think that, thank you, Dr. Habib, for the question. The learning circle, actually, it was, I think, somewhere around in the 90s that Kanizapa, at that time, Kanizapa was our, she was directing us. And, she came up with the idea that, how can we have small groups of children and how can we use this for language. So basically it was her idea that, can we have children look into the primers and, have sit in circles and, use the sort of read from the primers, and this will, they will be reading one after another. But, if they're in small groups, then it's helpful for the teacher. Then, the whole class does not have to read together. And so at that time, the teachers, we can use the teachers' time effectively. So they break into about 4 or 5 groups, and in each of the groups they will be reading the storybooks, and that enhances their language competencies. So it started from there, and then we saw that, there were so many different advantages. So one, of course, is, it is with the teacher, the teacher uses her time more efficiently. At the same time, you have the groups. So in the groups, there are children of, mixed abilities. But in the groups, children who are also perhaps a little kind of lagging behind, there are other children who will also help them, and vice versa. But it also happens that in certain subjects, there are certain children who are sort of more competent, and in other subjects they are not. So this it really is about peer learning. So we then identified that this peer learning mechanism of the groups is so important, that not only for the language and storybooks, how can we use it? So then we started using it for all the other subjects. So social studies, we used it for mathematics, and and we continue to use it for Bengali and language development. So that became very important. And here I must also say that it was not only about peer learning, but there would be a leader who would also rotate. So in this way, in the circles, that there was also a leadership development, that somebody would be a leader for a certain amount of time, and then that would rotate. And with that also, my colleagues in the field, they would always make it a point that how can we have leaders, girl leaders. And later, so girls leadership also developed. I remember there was a time that there was a policy that only the group leaders will be girls. So in those times, I mean, just imagine in the 90s and later on. So this is how we all use this kind of sort of learning kind of children's learning groups, and used it as a mechanism, used it as an approach to enhance children's learning, but also have this kind of shared understanding, also socialization, respect for each other, peer learning, as well as use the teacher's time efficiently. And then since then, because it was so successful, I know that my colleagues have also used it also for outside. So it's not only for inside our non-formal school, but this kind of groups also continues outside of the school, in the communities themselves. So in the communities, I know that that our the children come together in groups, and they also take this forward in groups. They learn together. So this has been a beautiful approach that we have used, and so even outside the school, the children continue to meet in groups, learn from each other, and respect, as well as somebody facilitating for for those days, etc. So I think we have been able to do three things. One is, of course, use teachers' time more efficiently. Second, we've also been able to give leadership to the children. So they are responsible for their own conduct and how they conduct themselves in groups as well as outside the school, not only in school. So this is the second. And third, it does so foster interaction, and friendship among children. So these have been very good three advantages that we found from the children's learning group. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Morim. It's really nice to hear that you are practicing in a regular basis the learning circle, and also the leadership idea is also very good to me. I mean that every child by rotation they have a chance to flourish their leadership quality. Oh, thank you very much. Now probably I want to go back Shah Shamim Ahmed, that you have been talking about self-assessment. When we are very struggling with the assessment system in the schools, how the teachers in BRAC school they are doing with one classroom, 30 students, one teacher teaching all the subjects. So can you just elaborate a little bit about that?
Thank you, Dr. Habib, again to you. It's a very important question, actually. You already mentioned, and we saw actually the video. It's one classroom school, 30 teachers and only one teacher, 30 students and only one teacher dealing all the subjects. Do you believe that assessment can be done efficiently in this setting, considering this, the environment, the facilities there? I know we all are thinking it's impossible, but surprisingly, the teacher of this school exactly doing that. The question is how? As I mentioned earlier, competency-based assessment through formative assessment, followed by action-oriented and task-oriented feedback, and also remedial measures is one of the core strategies of BRAC pedagogy to ensure children's learning, and that are integrated in regular teaching learning activities. In the teaching learning process, teacher actually creates an opportunity for the learners to identify the mistakes all by themselves, even correcting them through peers. The peer involvement also emphasized in the process, and teachers very technically instructs the learners to do all these activities in a group. As we saw actually in the documentary, the students are working in a group. These actually the regular activities in the Kandapara primary school, and also assist teacher constantly assist the students and encourage them to do all the activities by themselves. Through these, teacher ignites a sense of responsibility and accountability within learners and develops their level of thinking skills. In this process, learners become eligible to assess own learning achievement. They become responsible to take their responsibility of learning and find out the areas of improvement to step to the next level of learning. This process actually develops two most important skills of 21st century learning skills. One is the critical thinking and another is the problem solving skills. Since the students are regularly involved in group works, regularly involved in self-assessment and peer assessment, they develop their own skill to assess their own works as well as their peers' works, which is actually the practice of self-assessment in this process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I conclude the talking from the panel list, I like to ask a little bit about the capacity building process from Dr. Moriam in briefly.
Yeah.
I mean, how do how do you build the capacity of the teachers, because they're teaching all the subjects? If you enlighten.
Yes, sure. I think that this is a very good question, Dr. Habib. Thank you for asking this. We in the 80s, and I think we started with 18 days. But the residential was about 15 days training. But then we changed it. So we changed it to about, later on we changed it to, it's a residential rigorous training of about 12 days. But 12 days coming and going, it's 10 days residential. But I'll tell you that, this training, this training has been so important because my colleague Kandapara, she would say that actually this training is the warm-up. And it is in this training, in the residential training, that the teachers come and, they are away from their families. They come and it was every day from morning till evening. They would be, understanding pedagogy. They would be understanding content. They would be understanding important to engage. They would be understanding the importance of lesson plan. And they would be also understanding the importance of co-curricular activities. So basically in this training, they would have to learn about the different subjects, how to do the lesson plan, because the lesson plan is so important for our system. And they would also learn, and they would have to perform, sing and dance and do all of that. So in these 10 days that they do, they become really, I will say, uninhibited. They have to be. And there is so much of opportunity also for demonstration. So it's about demonstrating their skills. So, this, I cannot highlight enough the importance of this 10 days of this residential training. But what is also equally important that, this is not the end. After this training, once the teachers go back to their own schools, they start the school, and then from the first month, they come again to the local office, and we have a particular refresher room there. They come to the office and they again come in groups to do refresher training. And usually the refresher training is 1 day. But we've also, over the 30 years, we found out that sometimes, particularly when teachers have to go for grade 4 and 5, then we need more days. And then also, when they are doing for grade 1, 2, and 3, this 1 day is fine. But just at the end of grade 3, when they have to transition to grade 4, then we have a chunk of time when they need special refreshers on English and mathematics. So it has been worked out over the years based on what works. So, this 10 days of residential training, it really works. The refreshers is really a very important part of the teacher development model. But then we've contextualized it as we have gone along. So sometimes, like I said, for grade 4, a particular attention for math, for English, etc. So, but by and large, the absolute residential training and then the monthly refresher. This is really important. I will also share one important information. All the field staff, whoever is a supervisor, has to go through the same training. All the field staff go through the same teacher training, because it was my colleagues, Abid Bhai Kandapara, who felt that, whatever the teacher is learning, whenever there is a supervisor, the supervisor has to understand the same thing in the same way. Habiba, you're on mute.
So thank you very much. That's very rigorous process that you have been following for the teachers. But we also see that the BRAC graduates, they're not only good at the academic side, but also they have a number of other things like debating and making crafts and the dancing and singing. I visited sometimes some schools and they are just ready to whenever he asks anything, they're just ready to do that. So can you just let us that other than the academic subject, how do you manage those teachers to teach, one teacher teaching all those things? So you have also those kind of program for the teachers?
Yeah, so basically, I mean, I think that has been the one teacher school. The teachers' capacities have been built. So, you know, the teachers, I mean, you know, the founder, Sir Abid, his philosophy was that, you know, you can really develop people's capacities. People's capacities can be built. So it's very much his philosophy that has influenced the whole pedagogy of it. So, you know, we believe that the one teacher school, but the teachers are, you know, they know about language, they know about maths, they know about science, they know about English, and, you know, the co-curricular activities. But you see, the thing is that their capacities have also been built. What we do is we provide special training, but while we provide special training, we not only provide the skills, we give them confidence. I think the confidence part is also very important. So, you know, like I said, English. So, you know, in English, we provided special refreshers, special training for English. We did for mathematics. I mean, you know, I'll tell you a very interesting story. When we first started in Cox's Bazar, at that time in Cox's Bazar, you know, we didn't get teachers who were more trained than grade 6. So what we had to do was we had to also develop their skills so that they were able to take on children who were in grade 3. So, you know, as the teacher went along with the school in grade 1, we provided special training and coaching so that the teacher is able to take the cohort in grade 2. So we've tried all these mechanisms, but the mechanism is that our mechanism is not that, you know, we believe that when the teacher comes, you know, she is absolutely able to do everything. That can never be. Our philosophy is that, you know, the teacher, like I said, has basic competencies and she has a personality, but then it is through the continuous professional development that we build her skills, we build her competencies, and she's a one teacher model, but that teacher, again, you know, is able to teach all the subjects. Also, we have to remember that, you know, this is the non-formal schools is a collective. The teacher plays an extremely important role, but then there are also students. And we believe that it is also about a collective learning. There's a lot of interchange between the teacher and the students. And then we also have the supervisors, you know, who are there, who go like, you know, twice a week. And so, you know, it is this kind of collective, which is also very important. But the teachers, you know, because they have so much of confidence building over the years, you will see that nothing seems impossible to them. And that's the spirit that we nurture.
Wow, thank you. I think it's like that when students are stepping up of their grade from 1 to grade 5, also you develop the teachers along with the students. Very nice experience. And do you have any any minimum qualification, any kind of criteria recruiting the teachers?
Yeah, well, we used to before when we started in the 80s. At that time, you know, it was Abid Bhai and Kanizapa. They found out that, you know, the girls were not going to school because of the male teacher. So they said it has to be 100% has to be women teachers. So, you know, because the emphasis was on recruiting women teachers, so at that time they identified that it can be grade 8, not below grade 8. So we recruited teachers, women teachers who were, you know, grade 8. But over the years we've changed that. So then it was grade 10, and obviously then it's grade 12. So we don't recruit anybody beyond like the secondary school certificate. We don't recruit anyone below the secondary school certificate. So it was also gradually changed. But when we started, it was grade 8. But till now, the emphasis is on women teachers.
Wow, thank you. I'm just curious about that. as one teacher is going with them for 5 years, how the teacher-student bond, I mean, it should be very intense. Can you tell me your experience about that, Dr. Mariam?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think that the teachers have been absolute role models for the children. And I'll tell you something, that I think that the non-formal model, the teachers of the non-formal model, they are so passionate about about the students, and they're so passionate about teaching, and they're so passionate that the students learn. I'll tell you that any other model that we've developed after that, we follow the non-formal model teacher development. Because the non-formal model has been able to encourage and has been able to instill that confidence and the passion in the teachers. And we have so many stories that the teachers who were there, even when the students graduated, the students became older, the students the students and their families would come to the teachers to seek blessings. They would go for higher education. There would be important times in their life for marriage, but they would they and their families gave that teacher so much respect. So we have seen that the teachers of the non-formal schools, of the BRAC schools, they are the leaders in the community. They are role models in the community. They provided so much of passion, so much of care for the students, that it is unbelievable. So this is actually the non-formal. We think the non-formal is a movement of how passionate individual women can be about teaching, learning.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think the teacher must be very proud of their student, and they should be rewarded. I feel really amazing for the teachers. Just come back to Shamim Ahmed, as you are an assessment expert. How do you compare the competency achieved by the BRAC school and with the national assessment, national competency?
Well, actually, the BRAC curriculum is also competency-based curriculum, and the assessment focuses the competency-based curriculum also. In this regard, we can just compare with the national assessment data. I think you also know that we have a database which is provided by a individual group of researchers who actually assess the competency of government primary schools and BRAC schools. Not only BRAC schools, all the schools are operating in our context in Bangladesh. In that result, we also seen that we have seen the BRAC students, the single classroom students are performing better than any other organizations who are operating same schools. Even they are performing better in in some cases in compared to the government primary school students. So in this regard, I have seen, actually I have several experiences with the primary schools. I also assessed their competencies. I have seen they performed better, they achieved better in compared to other schools.
Thank you very much, Shami Ahmed. I think I'm asking too many questions, but we already have hundreds of questions from the audience. I'll stop myself here. Thank you all the panelists. And before going to the question and answer session, I like to run the video from T4, please.
Hello, my name is Vikas Pota. The reason why we're organizing this global showcase for World Education Week is we believe that schools have incredible expertise in making sure that learning outcomes improve. Given the state of the world, we want to see the expertise from this particular school being replicated in schools all over our planet so that the world becomes better for everyone. That is why I congratulate this school for what it does and hope that those listening can take away conclusions as to how they should actually approach their own improvement journeys. Thank you all for participating, and I look forward to seeing you in many of the other events this coming week. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors for supporting this incredible work, without whom we couldn't have put together this global showcase. Thank you, and I wish you well for this event.
Thank you.
Fast-paced social, economic, and technology-driven change is redefining our world. And having a broad range of skills, such as creativity and problem-solving, has become far more important than being able to memorize information. To redefine how our children learn and to empower them for the future, parents, teachers, and policymakers must stop overlooking a powerful part of the solution: learning through play. Play is the rocket fuel of child development, and there is a growing body of evidence to support that play is fundamental for children's positive growth and well-being over time. It is also an essential way to foster the skills required to thrive in today's world. The LEGO Foundation aims to build a future in which learning through play empowers children to become creative, engaged, lifelong learners. To do so, we work with a range of partners around the world to change the hearts and minds of all of those who influence children's lives through our programs, research, and advocacy, so they can all embrace the transformative power of play. Examples of what we do include making sure that caregivers, practitioners, and policymakers understand the importance of play, investigating, testing, and scaling new ways to bring play-based learning into homes and schools, using play to help millions of the world's most vulnerable children cope with adverse childhood experiences and toxic stress, or conducting research with some of the world's leading research institutions. Please visit our website and follow us on social media to learn more.
Thank you. Now I open the floor.
It's how friendships are formed, ideas are shared, and lessons are learned. Language is how we find understanding and express love. It's how we communicate our successes, both big and small. It lays the groundwork for learning and growth. And for an increasingly diverse student population, it can be the key to achievement in school and beyond. That's why Rosetta Stone Education is dedicated to language and literacy. We offer solutions designed to support teachers and their emergent bilingual students, recognizing and celebrating the knowledge, culture, and languages they bring to our classrooms. Our products are founded on the adaptive blended learning model for individual needs, continuous progress monitoring for better learning outcomes, and culturally responsive pedagogies for more inclusive classrooms. With solutions aligned with proficiency standards, we support language learning while exploring academic subject areas, paving the way to better outcomes. Because for all of us, language is everything.
Dear T4 community, we talk a lot about teachers these days, but we rarely listen to them. Therefore, I'm truly excited to join the T4 World Education Week to hear from teachers and school leaders all over the world how we can impact learning together. I'm particularly looking forward to the global showcase. 100 schools sharing their expertise and best practices, I believe, will be a huge motivation for other schools around the globe. I'm equally impressed by the T4 Solutions Challenge, its focus and their solutions to real-world issues in education. This gives me hope that we can, together, turn around education globally. The Youth Foundation is a proud supporter of the T4 World Education Week because we share a vision to reimagine learning and education by bringing together the brightest people who understand how children learn. Let's do this together.
Thank you very much for the videos we have seen. So now I open the floor from the audience to take the question and answer. Questions, please. Okay, I get one question from here for Dr. Anna Mariam. Why do you think that science in teaching is important for improving your education system?
I mean, science, of course, is very important. So science teaching is. I mean, I think here in our non-formal models, we started science very early, and we started, ever since we started doing the initial social studies, we included science because science is about discovery. We have to, we have to be able to really provide a sense of curiosity in children. And so, this curiosity and this discovery, this curiosity and this discovery is a lot of it is also with science. And not only that, I mean, I think that we live in a world where the science and arts comes together. So you cannot say that it's only about the arts or it's only about the sciences. This is about a more comprehensive learning, and so we think that science, of course, with there is obviously with the science, with the whole curiosity, with the kind of enchantment, with kind of discovery, as well as so many of the solutions. So the scientific solutions that kind of that takes accelerates the human development. So if you look at it in that sense, human development, obviously there has to be science, and then of course there's the arts of the languages, the arts of the, the literatures, and the, arts of understanding and how we link as people. So it's all about the sciences and the arts together. But I think specifically for non-formal, for us, science has been always very important, and we started science absolutely from grade 1. And we not only put science there, but we also try to develop scientific skills like curiosity in the minds of children. And so that's why we used to take a lot of the approaches around field trips, trying to observe, the skills of observation, and how to observe, how to be able to see, how to be able to learn from those observation, and kind of consolidate. And so the skills, so the scientific skills, we've also tried to encourage, and really a sense of inquiry, ask questions, inquiry. But if you see the scientific skills related to like inquiry, discovery, curiosity, we've tried to really nurture that in the students. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I come back to Shamim. You have one question that you were talking about self-assessment. Can you give a few examples of how do you apply that in the BRAC school?
Well, I actually have what the BRAC school is practicing. The teacher actively involved in this process. They are well trained and well instructed, guided by the the BRAC education program. They use those actually techniques that what they actually designed for involving students in this process. The teacher actually creates several opportunities for the children to provide tasks in the classrooms, let the children go outside the classroom and then do some tasks or projects, and then go back, come back to the classroom, and then teacher let them identify their mistakes, what they have actually instructed by the teachers to do and what they actually did. and the students are comparing their works with the instructions and their tasks, and then they take help from their peers to identify the mistakes also. And then teachers ask them to think about how to solve the problems, how to solve the mistakes or errors. Okay, then the students involved in this process. In most of the cases, actually teachers technically instruct the learners, the students, to do this, sometimes in a group and sometimes individual. In this process, the collaborative and cooperative learning opportunities are created, and through their own assessment, own tasks review, the students can critically think about their every work, and they can take the responsibility, which I mentioned earlier, to learn effectively, to learn as they are instructed. Not only for that, in this process, the interaction between student to students and also one of the important aspect of BRAC curriculum, actually socio-emotional learning. This also helps students affective changes, their leadership and their psychomotor skills. In this process, actually the learners involved and teachers let them do those things. Through the all activities, teachers very technically assist them. Don't directly instruct them to do this in this way. Let them think first and teacher guide them to do this.
Thank you, Shamim. Now one more question from for Dr. Mariam, that is saying that while providing the context of the school, I mean the BRAC schools are mostly situated in the marginal geographical location. How do you encourage community to be included in educational process?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you also for that question. I think from the very beginning, everything starts with the community. Because, you know, if you find out about our school model, the first we do is we engage with the community in order to do a survey. So even before we do the survey, we go and we talk to the community. It's a very much part of our ethos and BRAC's approach. So, you know, then when we do the survey, we only find out that, you know, what are the possibility of having a school here. But then, you know, while we do the survey, the survey is also an opportunity for us to get to know the community and the parents. You know, which site will be used, which will be the place for the school. That is also decided and in collaboration with the community, that which is going to be the site for the school. Then, you know, once the site is selected, then, you know, how do we construct the building? So who are going to be, you know, helping us to construct the building? And, you know, although we have one person who gives the space, there's a community who come and help us to construct that tin sort of room, that one room that we have. The one room is constructed by the people of the community. And, you know, we have, after we construct that, we also, like I said before, we ask the community, we ask the parents, you know, who will be the teacher. So they suggest. Then we have, once the teacher is also trained, we start with the schools. Just before we start with the schools, we do a little bit of structures there. We have a community, management team there, and the community management team is comprised of the parents and others who, you know, who will be able to help us. So, so there's all these little activities that we do with the community. So, you know, we first build rapport with the community, we do the survey in collaboration with the community, we ask the community to suggest names for the teacher. We then select the site of the school, we construct the school, and then of course it is the community who helps to, you know, preserve the school. because the school is left there. Everybody else sort of, after the classes, the teacher goes away and the students go away. It is the community who is sort of keeps it there safe. And with the functioning of the school, also the management committee helps us. So everything, I mean, community is so engaged, and so many times we have found that with the house, like the tin maybe a little bit requires some repair, some things. It's the community who helps us. So many times you will go and see there's a kolosh there, there's a glasses there, water there. Those are all by the community. So our children, you will see that they have little things to keep. They get things to keep the water. They have their own kind of things to hold the pencils. Those are all done by the parents. So so much goes on to hold the school together. It's the community who helps us.
Thank you. Just the last question I want to ask, that how do you describe in only 3 sentences that what is the key success, key strategy that make BRAC School successful? Dr. Aramonium.
I think the key strategies, if I have to say 3, the first is that instilling in children the love for learning, really creating teachers who are passionate, and giving communities a sense of ownership.
Thank you. I mean, you build the school from the very beginning with the community, and that's one of the key strategy you follow. Thank you. Wow, that's been a journey. It takes amazing dedication and a very systematic approach of a teacher to build a school like this. A school where learners aspire to come, love to learn, and get ready for further education for life. This approach has been proven successfully by these amazing teachers and got replicated even outside Bangladesh. My heartiest thanks to everyone for describing beautifully each aspect of the science of teaching learning practice in Kandahar Poschim BRAC Primary School. Thank you everybody, all the participants and the panelists. Asan from Bangladesh. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Habib and Dr. Shamim.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Habib and Dr. Boyan.
Thank you.